Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, from Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the NXT Event Center Wrestling Report. And now here's the man that will bring you all the wrestling happenings from the WWE Superstars of tomorrow, Eric M. Lima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Lima Shenanigans of 1977, episode number 2175, and this is NXT, the final NXT before Stand and Deliver, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, and I will be giving my Stand and Deliver picks and predictions because the matches are set. In fact, there were two qualifying matches for the Women's North American Championship ladder match, and this was something. There was a gauntlet match for number one contenders for the tag team titles. And how did the D'Angelo family and Dark State do in their little brawl? So, and how does the Meta Girls Fatal Influence Chemical X, a.k.a. Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley, and Roxanne Perez and her partner of her choosing, and her partner, well, figure out all this. How did it go into Stand and Deliver? Well, here's how this works. It kicked off with a Fatal 4-Way number one contenders match for the North American Championship between Wes Lee, Eddie Thorpe, Lexis King, and All Ego Ethan Page. And Ricky Saints arrives before the match to join on commentary with Corey Graves, Booker T, and Vic Joseph. And during the matchup, Ethan Page felt that he wants to annoy the heck out of Ricky Saints. Excuse me. So Page shoves Thorpe into Saints. Saints gets upset and starts yelling at Page. And then the referee, which was a dumb call in my opinion, decided to eject him from ringside because Ricky Starks did not lay a hand, even though there was no disqualification, did not lay a hand on Ethan Page. And Ethan Page kind of like probably roped him, kind of suckered him into that. And then, but that worked to Page's advantage because Ethan Page ended up winning the matchup and addressed the PC crowd afterwards. And then when the PC crowd, and then Ricky Saints came back through the crowd and speared and took down Ethan Page, sending a message. So this is the first time two former AEW guys will go at it on an NXT event. In fact, this is a big month for Ethan Page because I believe on Rebellion the 27th, he'd be challenging for the TNA World Title. Or was it? Yeah, for the TNA World Championship. So there you go. Then you got, and then each of the four ladies got to address the Fatal 4-Way matchup. Jordan Grace talked about her 15-year journey to get to the WWE. And she, along the way, she captured a few TNA Knockouts Championship. Like, she's been in TNA for a quite long time. And finally, she came to the WWE, and she intends on walking away with a championship. And then four of the ladies inside the women's locker room to watch the next qualifying matchup. So Ruka, Zaria, Kaylani, Jordan, Izzy, Dame end up saying, they're going to be the women's North American champion. In fact, so Ruka and Zaria says either one of us is going to be the next North American champion. So there's that. Then there was the fifth North American qualifying matchup. Tatum Paxley, one half of Chemical X, as I like to call it. No, that's not the official name, but along with the lovely, gorgeous, and curvaceous Gigi Dolan in her corner, going up against the lovely and gorgeous and curvaceous Lola Vice. I'll tell you what, two women with curves in the same screen. You add in the Kid Alliance, I'll be having no breaks, that's for sure. This was a heck of a matchup. Even, Gigi Dolan was arguing with Vice at ringside during the matchup, but Gigi Dolan smart enough not to lay a hand on Vice, and she don't want to get her girl disqualified, but in the end, Lola Vice did end up winning the matchup. So, and she's the fifth woman to qualify. But who would be the sixth woman? Interesting situation. Julia addresses the Fatal 4-Way title match. She saw Stephanie McCare do her thing. But you know what? Friendships go out the window when it comes to title matchup. You're going to see what the Beautiful Madness is all about, and I'm telling you one thing. You know, Julia says, last year I was introduced. I introduced myself. This year, I'm walking out NXT Women's Champion. That's what she said. So that's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. And Trick Williams did quickly pull up at the PC Arena. Meanwhile, the Meta Girls Fatal Influence and Chemical X, well, we're talking to Ava. Ava says, and you know what? Idea, a triple threat matchup. The winner of that match will get a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team titles at the NXT after Stand and Deliver. So that's a huge opportunity. Then that means the winner of the Women's Tag Team title match between Bayley and the Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will face the winner. But, however, will the Women's Tag Team titles be on the line the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania? Will the Kabuki Warriors make their return? The Women's Tag Team titles could get very interesting. It can be in a wide open field now. Because if the Kabuki Warriors came back this coming Monday Night on Raw after WrestleMania, the 21st, I would suspect that the ladies of NXT, whoever wins that matchup, but then Roxanne Perez comes up and starts complaining to Ava and confronts and goes, find yourself a partner or we'll make it a fatal four-way. And Roxanne Perez, her bratty attitude has not made a lot of friends, unfortunately, so we'll see how that goes. So the gauntlet match began as Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, Hank and Tank, honk, took on Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe, and Hank and Tank advances, and they had to face the Cullings, Brooks Jensen and Nico Vance, and despite now the tag team champs were watching the matchup, and advancing once again, Hank and Tank. Then Hank and Tank faces the members of the No Quarter Catch crew, Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne, and advancing once again, Hank and Tank. Then there was the fifth and final team. They faced Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. The winners of that match, Hank and Tank. That's right, the Belly Boys, Mr. Hong Kongs themselves, Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, will be challenging Fraxium for the NXT Tag Team titles. And then Stevie Turner was talking to Callie Armstrong and decided to make a fatal four-way between her, Chantel Monroe, Brinley Reese, and Kendall Gray. So that's going to be for tomorrow for Evolve. So that's, and then ends up talking to Ava, and Ava has some ideas, and then Obafemi pulls up at the PC Arena, and then Miss Parker don't play. Jada Parker addresses the fatal four-way title match. She said she had her best friend and was her uncle, and then when she lost him, she says she's learning how to be strong on her own. And you know something? If Jada Parker does not win the NXT title, I wouldn't be surprised she gets in the WWE draft, because a lot of, she's been highly thought of. Because imagine Jada Parker joining forces. Let's say she gets drafted to SmackDown. Jada Parker can join forces with Bianca Belair and Naomi. And that could be something. Or if Bianca Belair sides with Jade Cargill against Naomi can recruit Jada Parker in. Well, who knows? Lots of things could happen. Who knows? But I think Jada Parker does remind me a lot of Bianca Belair. And that the attitude-wise and everything else in between. And I'll tell you one thing. Jada Parker and Bianca Belair, one-on-one, that'll be a heck of a matchup. Or them joining forces, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see where Jada Parker goes from there if she does not win the NXT Women's Championship. Because Jada Parker is going up against three of the very best in the world right now. In Jordan Grace, Julia, and Stephanie McCare. That's something to have here. And then the D'Angelo family, no Tony D'Angelo. It was like Stax was calling this one and starts beating the heck out of Dark State. Once Dark State got the upper hand, Tony D'Angelo pulled up and starts clobbering members of Dark State with the crowbar, and then they all fled. Tony D'Angelo was a little upset with Stax. Stax said, listen, I decided to do business the way it should be handled. So he had a match set up, 6-man tag, the D'Angelo family against Dark State at D'Angelo family against Dark State at at Stand and Deliver. That was another match added to the card. So, Stephanie Vaquer actually went to her hometown of San Fernando, Chile. I think she surprised her father with the championships she won. And making her rounds on the media. And is planning on aiming to walk out of Stand and Deliver the NXT Women's Champ once again. So that'll be something too. So Kelly Kincaid interviewed Hank and Tank after they won the matchup. They said they were looking for his opportunity, and Fraxium showed up, and Nathan Frazier's and congratulations and all. But it seems like Fraxium's not fine, because Hank and Tank says we're looking forward to the matchup. They extended their hands to both the teams. Nathan Frazier walks away, but Axiom stood by and shook their hands, so I thought it was really cool. So Ava, Mr. Stone, and Stevie Turner were trying to talk to Roxanne Perez. Says, I'll be my own partner. That's not how it works. And then Cora Jade walks in and apologizes to Roxanne Perez. If Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez looks like they're going to be a team once again, and that means that, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez could challenge. They're former NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. They're the only ones that have held gold. Besides Fallon Henley, but it depends on which members of Fatal Influence will be in that matchup. Because I know JC Jane's a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, and you got Fallon Henley, a former North American Champion. So, Women's North American Champion, so that. So, and then Andre Chase was talking to Uriah Connors and Kayla Dixon. Said, thank you guys, but I'm afraid I'll ruin your lives like I ruined the others. And then you hear a female voice. You didn't ruin me. You didn't ruin my life, Mr. Chase. Thea Hale is back. And she said, you have my blessings. Go for it, Mr. Chase. So that means you're back? No, I'll always be a Chase U alumni. And besides, I'm qualifying for the Women's North American Championship. And so, the grown-ass woman, as she calls herself, that's right, Thea Hale is back. She took on Carmen Petrovich, who still has Ashante Diadonis in her corner, and they had a great matchup. But Thea Hale with that submission hold, armbar submission hold on Carmen Petrovich. Petrovich tapped out, and we got Thea Hale as the sixth woman to qualify for that ladder match. And then the face-off between Trick Williams, Obafemi, and Javon Evans. Williams addresses the crowd first and addresses both men. Obafemi interrupts him and addresses him and Evans. Javon Evans comes out, had his say with Obafemi and Trick Williams. But Trick Williams and Obafemi started brawling, and then Javon Evans does what he does best. Fly over the top rope. And fly over the top rope and knocked both men out and held the NXT title in his hand. And that is the final NXT for Stand and Deliver. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make my picks and predictions for Stand and Deliver. So here we go. Stand and Deliver. Picks to win. What I'm going to do, I'm writing down the matches and see what happens here. The NXT title on the line. All right. NXT title between Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans. I think you're going to see history in the making. I'm going to go on a limb and say that Javon Evans is going to win the title and make history. It's going to be a big shocker. I'm going for the shock factor here with Javon Evans. He's only 20 years old. If he defeats Obafemi and Trick Williams, he'll be the youngest person to ever hold a championship in the WWE at age 20. And that's what I'm going for here. So, all right, with the women's title in the Fatal 4-Way. Women's in the Fatal 4-Way. Between Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Jordan Grace, Jada Parker. Now, I'm not picking Jada Parker because it's going to be tough for her in her young career. She's facing three of the most experienced and best women in the world right now. So I'm going to give the nod to the Beautiful Madness. I think Julia will be a 2-time champion. So, let's go with the North American title between this Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. Now, you got to remember now, Ethan Page is a former NXT champion. And this is the first time two former AEW guys going after this championship. I meant to say former AEW guys. This time, the first time, two former AEW guys going after the championship. But you know what, though? I think Page's mind would be on the TNA World title. So I'm picking Saints to retain. So, okay, Women's North American title in a ladder match between Sol Ruca, Zarya, Kaylani Jordan, Izzy Dame, Lola Vice, and the recently returning Thea Hale. You know what? I get a hunch. Thea Hale. I'm picking her to win the title. It's about time she gets a championship in the WWE. And on NXT, Thea Hale, the new North American champion, in my personal opinion. Now we got the tag titles. And you know what? I think this is where Fraxium ends up breaking up. Hank and Tank, the Belly Boys, will be the new champs. I'm picking them to win it. That's right. I'm picking Hank and Tank. Then you got, let's see. Let me see what we got here. All right. We got the 6-man tag between D'Angelo Family and Dark State. D'Angelo Family is 1 man shy. They should have recruited somebody to make this thing an 8-man. Because whoever's going to be an outside against Dark State, they're going to take advantage of that. So Dark State's going to win because of the numbers advantage they have. So Dark State's going to win, and they're going to make a statement. So, any other matches that I know? Oh, we got one more match. Number 1 contenders, women's tag. I'm going to put number 1, and then I'm going to put 4. So, between the Meta Girls, Fatal Influence, Chemical X, and now providing that Shotzi's going to be in their corner, and Roxanne Perez. So Chemical X, for those you don't know, because they represent, each of their different personalities represent resemble the Powerpuff Girls. You got the redhead and the lovely, gorgeous, curvaceous Gigi Dolan. You got Tatum Paxley, the brunette, and you got the green-haired Shotzi Blackheart. And but my money is going to go on Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. They've been there before. They've been former NXT Tag Team Champions. Roxanne Perez is a former NXT Women's Champion. And I think that if they get that chemistry back, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez could end up being number 1 contenders. And since Roxanne Perez has got main roster experience a little bit on both Raw and SmackDown, I think that will give Perez and Jade an advantage. But who is going to be the women's tag team champions? You got Bayley and Vira Valkyria, the women's Intercontinental Champion, taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's tag team titles. Now, let's say Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez retain the titles. Are they facing some? Now, usually the Raw after Mania is all about returns, debuts, and all that. And with Netflix, it could be big. Could we see the returning Kabuki Warriors challenge if Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez retain the titles? And if they do end up doing that as a surprise team and end up winning, how about, they go into NXT, Kairi Sane and Asuka, to take on whoever, Kairi Sane and Asuka taking on Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez will be a heck of a matchup. I'm telling you right now. And you see Kairi Sane, though, as of late? Woman's buff, man. I'm telling you, she don't play around. And she has the deadliest back fist and the craziest elbow. If I were those ladies in NXT, I'd be, if all the other women's tag team, better grow eyes in the back of their head because the Kabuki Warriors are coming back. And when they come back, man, nobody's safe, man. Let me tell you. So I'll tell you. So that is 7 matches on Stand Delivered. It's going to be a heck of a match at 1 o'clock. So I will keep the Stand and Deliver. So I got all the lists down, and I made my picks for Stand and Deliver. I will repeat them on Rant and Rave this coming Thursday. So be well aware of that. One more bit of business before we end the video for today. And this episode for today. As you know, tomorrow we'll be having Joker's Wild. I got AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite and Evolve, and then I had to do the baseball roundup. The weekly baseball roundup. A bit of sad news. The legendary game show host Wink Martindale, the last of the good ones, I should say. I think the last of a dying breed of game show hosts, of old school game show hosts of the past. I know Pat Sajak's retired, but I'm talking about classical game show hosts, has passed away at the age of 91. And I will do a little shenanigan tribute to Mr. Martindale, and I'll probably do, I've already played High Rollers today, and so I think next week I will dedicate an episode of my Tic-Tac-Toe gameplays for Martindale Monday to him, and a couple games of high rolls next week to Mr. Martindale. And so, rest in peace, Wink Martindale. Condolences and prayers go to his wife, Sandy, and I believe his 3 daughters, an honorary son. And I know, Wink Martindale was my favorite game show host. Couldn't say any more on that. So, I'll probably play an extra game of Tic-Tac-Toe just for him when I get a chance to do it. So, and when I do, you'll be the first, guys will be the first one to know when I'm going to decide to do it. So, I'm just going to play one game of High Rollers, and then one game of Tic-Tac-Toe, regular syndicated version, because that was what he was most known for. And I'll probably do it. So, rest in peace, Wink Martindale. You will be missed, sir. So, that's it. That's all the time we have on the show. I'll see you in the next episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans in 1977. Tomorrow we'll play some Joker's Wild. Spin that One Iron Bandit. Like I said before, we got Evolve and AEW Dynamite. The road to Double or Nothing is on. So, and you got All In Texas. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. So, I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful, blessed day. And until the next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home.
That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and Door for Bob Saget production, and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.